This is Newsroom, delivering the facts that matter. Subscribe and stay connected. What's something people don't know about the 2026 State of the Union? It wasn't just a speech, it was a declaration of battle lines for America's future. On February 25, 2026, President Trump took the stage for his second-term State of the Union address. But this was no ordinary speech. He wasn't there to unite a fractured nation, but to energize his loyal base and confront his critics head-on. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation and tension, as Trump prepared to lay out his vision for the next 4 years. The chamber itself reflected the country's deep divisions. Many Democrats boycotted the event or sat in silent protest, while Republicans cheered enthusiastically. Outside, a partial government shutdown loomed, underscoring the political gridlock and the stakes of the moment. Trump's speech was more than a policy update. It was a bold declaration of intent. He doubled down on his unapologetic America First agenda, touting sweeping tax cuts and what he called a roaring economy. Yet he sidestepped mention of the deep Medicaid cuts that had sparked controversy. Throughout the address, Trump painted a picture of America under siege, casting himself as the nation's sole defender against what he described as a corrupt establishment and radical Democrats determined to undermine his presidency. The speech was less a traditional State of the Union and more a fiery opening salvo for the upcoming midterm elections. Trump made it clear that the turbulence and political battles were far from over, signaling a contentious road ahead. In that moment, the battle lines for America's future were drawn, loud, clear, and uncompromising, setting the stage for a new era of political confrontation. Trump zeroed in on New York City's Mayor Zohran Mamdani, branding him a communist and casting the city as a battleground in a cultural war. He mocked the city's ID requirements for snow shovelers, contrasting it with Democrats' opposition to voter ID laws, a line that brought Republicans to their feet. Trump called for strict national voter ID and proof of citizenship, framing it as common sense, while Democrats saw it as voter suppression. The clash over ID requirements became a symbol of the deep ideological divide, with Trump's framing putting Democrats on the defensive. Trump announced an executive order banning Wall Street firms from buying single-family homes, declaring, "The American dream is not for rent." He blamed corporate investors for pricing out families, urging Congress to make the ban permanent and daring Democrats to oppose him. The move was a populist appeal to middle-class anxieties, positioning Trump as a champion against financial elites. While Republicans cheered, Democrats questioned the policy's consequences, but the message resonated with voters struggling for home ownership. Trump's strategy: put people over corporations and force his opponents into a tough spot. Trump's tone hardened dramatically on immigration, launching a fierce attack on sanctuary cities like New York and making them a central target in his speech. He accused their leaders of endangering Americans by refusing to cooperate with federal immigration authorities, painting a picture of cities in crisis. Trump made explosive, unsubstantiated claims about immigrant communities, suggesting they harbored criminals and undermined public safety. His words sparked immediate outrage and dramatic protests from Democrats, including a vocal response from Representative Ilhan Omar and others who stood in open defiance. The chamber erupted, shouting, ejections, and visible fury, turning the State of the Union into a battleground of clashing ideologies. These scenes mirrored the nation's bitter divide over immigration, with passionate voices on both sides refusing to back down. Trump pressed for the Delilah Law, aiming to block undocumented immigrants from obtaining commercial driver's licenses, arguing it was a matter of national security. He insisted Democratic policies put citizens at risk, fueling fears and deepening the partisan rift. For his supporters, Trump was a truth-teller, boldly confronting issues others avoided and standing up for what they saw as American values. For opponents, he was a dangerous demagogue, stoking division and fear for political gain. The night's chaos captured the raw anger and polarization that now define the immigration debate in America, exposing deep wounds in the national fabric. The State of the Union became a microcosm of America's larger conflict, a stage where the nation's hopes, fears, and divisions played out for all to see. As Trump closed his marathon speech, he framed the 2026 midterms as a stark choice between two Americas, one clinging to tradition, the other pushing for sweeping change. He warned that the decisions made in the coming years would define the nation's future for a generation, urging his supporters to see themselves as defenders of a threatened way of life. New York City became his symbol of everything he opposes: progressive policies, sanctuary laws, and leftist leadership. To Trump, the city's direction represented a cautionary tale, a vision of America he claimed would spread if his opponents gained power. The night's protests and boycotts reflected a nation fractured beyond simple disagreement. Streets filled with passionate voices on both sides, highlighting the deep divisions that now define American politics. Trump's America First agenda, voter ID, housing bans, immigration crackdowns, was designed to resonate with those who feel left behind. He promised to restore what he called true American values, appealing to voters anxious about rapid change. The address wasn't about policy details, but about drawing clear battle lines for the next election. Trump's rhetoric was aimed at energizing his base and warning of dire consequences if the other side prevails. The State of the Union, as Trump portrayed it, is one of deep, perhaps irreconcilable, conflict, a nation at a crossroads with its identity and future hanging in the balance.